Today's session, we're going to go over some of those QA questions and answers, tutorial on how to utilize it within your classroom, and then also dive into any of those best practices. And in addition, once you receive the Artome in your classroom, there will be a printed hard copy version of the quick setup guide as well. So that'll be really key for you all to have and to kind of keep on hand in case there's any substitutes in the future. But without further delay, I'm going to go ahead and hand things on over for the presentation to my colleagues from Artome.
Hi, everybody. Rauno. I work with Artome. We are a Finnish education technology manufacturer. We've been manufacturing AV carts and education technology solutions for the last 10 years. And now for the last 3 years, we've been in the US. And during this time, we've had an opportunity to deploy our units across the country to various K-12 districts, as well as higher educational institutes. And even PPS has had an opportunity to run a pilot program with our Artome S1 products. And now really the products that you are going to be piloting are the results of the lessons learned from that initial pilot. So we already in that first pilot realized that this is a product that fits your use cases very well. And as a primary classroom solution, it can make your life a little bit easier, have a consolidated single unit that provides that AV. But there were a few tweaks and adjustments that the PPS tech team was very specific about. And we as a company then made a custom project product for PPS that now has incorporated all these additional features to it. And before we do even get started, let me preface this just a bit. Typically when schools have a look at new technology or when new technology gets brought into classrooms, the first initial reaction that often comes even from an evolutionary perspective is that new things are always difficult, new things are always scary. That's really something that we are actually actively getting away from. Our products are, even by the design philosophy, intended to be easy to use, very simple to deploy, and highly reliable. And that's, I'd say, one of the, or some of the key reasons why our products have become so very popular. And hopefully you guys will get to experience this as well yourselves. So let's dig into it.
Now, for the sake of this presentation, I think it's easiest that we get started with a product video.
Introducing an all-in-one AV solution tailored for education and hybrid working environments. Designed with a built-in laser projector, embedded sound system, and video conferencing capabilities, it's the only device you'll need. With Artome's movable solution, transforming any space into an area ideal for presentations, education, and hybrid work becomes effortless. It's movable, flexible, and suitable for any learning environment, delivering easy integration and effortless operation for all. Artome collaborates directly with educators in designing its products and solutions, aiming to empower both students and teachers to achieve their highest potential. Large screen size guarantees a front row experience for every student, regardless of their seating location. That's why Artome utilizes Epson laser projectors, offering scalable image sizes for any space, ensuring everyone has the best view. A big display and superior sound system together create an immersive learning environment, ensuring full engagement and inclusion of every student. Forget about electrical planning and cabling. Our installation-free design saves you both time and money. With Artome, every space becomes a new opportunity, be it a library, cafeteria, or office. Transform it into a vibrant space for education, presentations, or hybrid work. In case of AV failures or classroom tech issues, Artome swiftly restores your event's flow, ensuring seamless sessions every time. For last-minute venue changes, Artome provides fast, flexible setups to keep your event on track. Discover Artome's AV solutions, the Artome S1, transforming classrooms into immersive learning environments. The Artome M10, perfect for flexible multi-use areas and hybrid work. The Artome X20, elevating large venues and events with unmatched audiovisual quality. Imagine your school with Artome, classrooms, gyms, and other spaces, all transformed to support more active learning with our movable and easy-to-use products. We've shown you the future of AV solutions. Easy to install, use, and trust.
All right. So that video gives a good introduction of how the products can be utilized and what kind of products we do manufacture in general. And as I mentioned, the Artome S10 Portland model will be a mix of the Artome S1 and the Artome M10. So it does mean that you'll get a little bit more functionality. And in a nutshell, so what is an Artome S10? It's all of your traditional classroom technology, but now in a movable format and easy to use interface to operate the system. So the unit does have a laser projector, so it's capable of projecting an image of 150 inches, and it's equally capable of doing that whether it's a whiteboard surface, whether it's a plain old wall, or it's a projection screen that you get to utilize it with. It does come with an inbuilt sound system, so it has 2 speakers and a subwoofer, and they will be then replicating any audio materials that are played from any of the program sources. So whether that is the Chromebox, an additional laptop you may have, or an audio device, or microphones. And the sound system is robust enough to cater for even a larger space than a classroom. It's rated for a space of 100 people. So it's not going to run out of oomph even in the larger areas that you may use it at. And of course, then the product itself has some new features that have been innovated specifically for Portland. And a lot of this will be also available in the quick user guides that will be waiting for you in the classrooms where you'll find the unit as well. But just to give you that overall view of it. Now, on top of that, there is a Artome wireless casting device inside. So anybody in the classroom, a student can also share their materials if is needed. Obviously, you as a teacher will have the control over which source is displayed. So it's not like a student could take over the display and go silly with it, but rather that you as a teacher do have the power to decide exactly which component or which screen is shown and when. So that Chromebox will allow you to, of course, also display your document camera if you're utilizing one. That just needs to be connected by that standard USB-C cable to the back of the Artome unit. There is a custom USB-C port just for that very purpose. So with the Artome, you could connect with an additional laptop. Students could connect with their Chromebooks, and then you would just swap the source, and then it would display that Artome material instead of the Chromebox materials. There will also be a Lightspeed mic system integrated eventually, which will then give you the opportunity to also amplify your voice in the classrooms. We will be looking to provide little lapel mics for it. Now, it is a lanyard microphone that will be around your neck, and that little lapel mic will ensure that your voice will carry in the classroom as well. And for the occasional use, when you may have need for additional audio devices to be connected, there is also that 3.5 millimeter mini jack plug for audio devices at the back of the Artome unit. And also, if you would have any additional equipment, DVD players, Blu-ray players, even a PlayStation, you could use that HDMI port at the back to connect that to the Artome unit, and then you could enjoy the full big picture and the superior audio from the Artome unit with that additional device as well.
And to build off of that, it'll be the exact same PPS login that you use with your existing teaching station. So all of that, your cloud files are still in the cloud. You'll be able to access it the same way, just like you do your teaching station. And there would be in each classroom a microphone for the teacher, but also a student engagement microphone as well.
Perfect. And the Artome units are built to be as easy to use as possible. So no complex menus, No installation needed, no drivers are needed for you to display materials off a laptop and so forth. Truly just a plug and play system. And we've provided 6 easy to use buttons on top of the unit, which will allow you to power the unit on and off, but also have volume control. You will be able to switch between the sources, whether at that time you'd want to display the Chromebox or an additional device that may be connected to the HDMI 2 port at the back plate. That could be a DVD player or so forth. And then HDMI 3 for the airtime and the wireless connectivity when somebody else wants to share their screen on the big screen. And of course, then you have the additional functionality of the pause and freeze buttons. And these can be super handy when you're in a teaching environment. The pause button will simply cut off every signal and the screen will go absolutely blank and dark. And then you have the freeze button, which would then freeze the last displayed image onto the screen. And in the meanwhile, then you could already prepare your next materials, and then you'd press that freeze again, and then it automatically switched to your current screen. And in that way, let's say that there was a math problem they were solving and you wanted to display it first, then you freeze that up on the big screen and that would stay there. You find the next materials you want to display and then unfreeze it, and then the next material goes up onto the screen. And you will also receive a remote control, so you don't always necessarily have to walk over to the Artome unit, but rather that you can operate it with the remote control as well. So this is a brief overview of the quick user guide that you'll have in the classrooms as well. And the quick user guide really gives you a good indication of the basic use of the product, whether you want to use it as just a PA system and you want to use it for audio only. You can turn the projector off and it could just be a source of audio at that point. So that gives you that added flexibility as well. And for image size and location, it really is a question of the positioning of the Artome unit. So the further away from the wall it is, the bigger the image gets. The closer you get, the smaller the image gets. So typically, if you're about 2 feet away from the wall, you'd be looking at the maximum size image. So it has what's called a ultra short throw laser projector. So no more swapping lamps. And if you're used to the lamp projector, you'll very quickly notice that there's a whole lot brighter version these days. And no more swapping out lamps. These have a life cycle of 10 years. And even the projector's lamp, if you were to use it a full 8 hours a day, it will still run some 7 years. So that's also some of the added benefits of this kind of technology. So when you have something movable and adaptable, it will also give you a new kind of flexibility for classroom layouts, but also utilize it as a pedagogical tool. We're hearing from across the world and across the US a lot about shortened attention spans, and sometimes late afternoon lessons getting a bit tricky with some of the students. Even just making the learning experiences more immersive, whether you just pull that unit a little bit further away from the wall, that will actually tilt the image all the way to the ceiling. Now, in a hypothetical situation, when you were talking about the stars and planets, you could have prepared a video with moving stars and planets, and you could actually project nearly all the way to the ceiling, and you could really make a learning experience of it. So I do encourage you to experiment with it. It's a highly durable product. Obviously, there's no need to kick it or put it through its paces, but certainly feel free to test it out, find all those innovative ways to utilize it, and I promise you'll be very positively surprised. We're getting nice indications of that, even from the previous pilot, and of course from a bunch of other districts and higher educational institutes across the country. It really hasn't been an opportunity or a possibility before our products came out to market. You had your interactive panels, which were kind of movable, a little bit cumbersome, and you always needed a few people to move them, or then it was the traditional projectors that kind of sit stuck in a single location, pointing one direction. So we're here to offer a little bit more flexibility when it comes to that. And of course, when it comes to projector technology in general, compared to some of the touch panels, we are able to offer basically an image that would equate to 4 of the larger touch panels. So now there's an opportunity for kids, even at the very back of the class, to actually see the smallest prints that you may be displaying. And of course, that's always going to enhance the learning outcomes overall. And that's hopefully something that we get to see at PPS as well. Now, these were some of the basic aspects I want to touch base on today, but now I'm happy to tackle any questions this may have raised with the people attending.
Excellent. Okay, we've got a couple of questions that came in through our chat. So the very first question is, can I still use my existing tech cart or teaching station computer? Answer is yes, it will still be available in your classroom. It will still have its existing Chromebox and monitor and existing document camera, so that will still exist. The next question that came on in is in regards to being able to use the Artome when it comes to the students who have IEP specific hearing needs. So right now within the district, we work with Columbia Regional, and they provide hearing aids, and there are mobile Lightspeed Red Cat units. So in this case, there is a Lightspeed within the Artome, and when you plug into the Artome, it does have the Lightspeed in there. So the sound from your computer is going to come through. Also, once we deploy the microphones, those flex mics that are going to go around your neck, and then they'll have a lapel microphone on them, that is going to be the best case scenario, because then it will be able to stream to the students your voice, student engagement microphones sound, and also the computer sound. So it will be able to take all of those audio feeds and, based on the Bluetooth, stream directly to the students' hearing aids that have paired in the specific classroom, have assistive listening devices that are in the front office for guests specifically, and those should be able to also be used here with the Artome units. So just heads up on that one. As we start getting into some of those additional guests that come in to speak or to volunteer, that may be something that may be available upon request in your schools. And so that is something that could also be used here. Okay, our next question is, can we use our existing document camera with this? So our existing document camera is on our existing teaching station and plugs right now directly into our Chromebox. So the question is, can we take that document camera and plug it into the back of the Artome?
There is that secondary system on that table, and it's already connected to your Chromebox. Now, instead of connecting your Chromebox on that table to your existing screen, you could alternatively run a HDMI cable to the available HDMI 2 port at the back of the Artome S10, and then still use the Chromebox on your desk.
If you've got your existing teaching station set up and you've got your existing document camera that's connected to the existing Chromebox, because the Artome has an Artome system, which is going to be able to stream from any device to the projector, right? They're connected inside the Artome. What you could do is, in your existing teaching station setup, utilize your document camera, connect it to Artome, and poof, it is going to be able to project onto the surface, whether it's a pull-down projection screen or a wall or a whiteboard. So that may also be the simplest option. Because of the Artome capabilities within the Artome, you can stream if you've got an iPad or you've got a Chromebox that you use, Chromebook, sorry, that you use as your mobile device. You could also do that from anywhere in the classroom, connect to the Artome that is inside the Artome that is plugged into the projector, and again, project onto the whiteboard, the pull-down projection screen, whatever is in that existing classroom. A question that we got earlier is, does this unit need to be plugged in at all times, or can it work on its own?
The Artome unit does not have a battery pack. At this point, we have explored the alternatives, but in order to get a sufficient amount of power, it would need to be something like a 60-pound battery pack, so it's not very convenient. So at the moment, you'd need a power plug and a wall to project on, or a surface to project on.
How to manage projecting onto different surfaces. So obviously we are going to be projecting, in this case, on a whiteboard or an existing projector screen. But in the video, there was a little bit of that imagery where the teacher kind of moved the Artome back or closer to the wall. Can you speak a little bit about how that works with the flexibility?
Absolutely. Now, every classroom will be different, and every environment where it's utilized will have a little bit different layout, whether it comes to projecting onto a whiteboard or a projection surface. The positioning of the image itself is determined by the positioning of the Artome unit in front of that surface. So if you're about 2 feet away from that projection surface, you'd be looking at a 130-inch image. And if the requirement would be that, oh my goodness, now part of the image is below the projected surface, you can always kind of minimize that image a bit, and it does raise it up as well. And you have quick button functionality for it, both in the projector as well as or on the 6 top buttons in the projector as well as in the remote control. The quick button functions are the same both on the remote as well as with the 6 buttons on top. So when you do press freeze and it turns that light red, then when you press the volume buttons either up or down, it will then raise the image and make it a little bit smaller or bring it down in full size. So that will give you the flexibility to match that image size to pretty much every environment, as long as we don't go totally overboard, like trying to project over door height and such. This model has a digital lens shift rather than a motorized one. So it does offer some limitations on that front.
Our next question is, our current teaching stations that are in the classrooms are also utilizing DVDs when they're substitutes or they've got video content. They're able to check that out of the library and plug the DVD player into their current teaching station. Is that an option to plug into the Artome if there are DVDs and the DVD player is external?
If there was an external DVD driver or DVD player and it supports an HDMI, which would typically transfer the image to a television, well, now you can do the very same thing, but just running the HDMI cable to the back of the Artome S10, which will have that available HDMI 2 port. So once that cable is connected, which we will be providing with the units to the classroom, then it's just a question of swapping source. So let's say that you were operating with the Chromebox, you were maybe utilizing the document camera, but now it's time to watch that DVD movie. Just hit that source button once, and it will scroll to the next active source, and the next one in order would be that HDMI 2, and that would be your DVD player.
Are there any best practices when it comes to microphones and utilizing it with the Artome?
Absolutely. Now, anytime you do work with microphones and speakers and audio systems, a good rule of thumb is that never bring the microphone in front of a speaker, because it's just going to keep on amplifying the sound in a loop, and that's when you get the horrible screeching sound, so the feedback audio loop. Now, when it comes to the flex mics, we're now getting the additional lavalier mic, which will connect to your shirt or lapel, and that will be unidirectional. Now, even if you are working with that unidirectional microphone, a good thing to remember is anytime you do walk directly in front of that Artome unit, there is the possibility that you'd accumulate that feedback loop. And in order to kind of stop that horrible screeching sound, if you were to make that happen, would be to cover the microphone or just turn away so you're not placing that microphone in front of that speaker.
Excellent. And just to add on to that, quick reminder with microphones, put them on the charger before leaving the classroom. I have had many a speaker leave the room, go to the restroom, have conversations in the hallway. So we want to make sure to encourage everybody to take that microphone off, leave it in the classroom. And the microphones are going to be specific to your classroom. And the Artome remote control will be specific to that Artome unit. So keep the set in the classroom that it was originally deployed to. So just a best practice there.
Did you say speakers are included, or we're still attaching? Yeah. Oh, there are speakers included.
Yeah,
okay.
Embedded inside. And they are 2.1 they are producing 108 decibel, so quite loud.
Yeah.
And then the way to control that speaker volume would be via the remote or directly on the Artome itself with the buttons.
There are different, multiple ways of doing that. The remote control is capable of controlling the volume. If not, then the buttons on top of the Artome that can be adjusted as well, the volume. As well as, it depends also, of course, if you're running it if the sound coming from laptop, for example. So you could always adjust the volume out from the laptop. But of course, it's easier with the remote control or the device. It depends on the use case or how convenient to the user to do. Casters are lockable, so when you move it, you could always lock the front two casters, so it's easier to to have one position just in case if somebody touched it by mistake. So it's more steady. So that they have a lock, which actually I'm looking at here in the slide.
So you can plug it in, and in the next minute or so, you can connect. You can log in with your Chromebox. You can use Artome that's connected. It's just all on the wall, ready to go for you. But that's one item worth mentioning, that all of those will power on automatically. I think oftentimes the expectation is to plug it in and then press the power button to power everything on.
So to build off of that, what Vic just mentioned, the Artome is a device that is going to be inside this locked Artome, and there will be a code, and you can stream to the projector from any device. So that is another way to have that flexibility within the classroom. You can project from the existing teaching station, you can project from your cell phone, you can have a little bit more of that capability within the classroom. There is a 1 to 2 second delay when streaming videos, so just a heads up on that one, just for the buffering side of things. So just if you are starting to utilize that Artome capability from a different device, just know that there is that 2 second delay just for the buffering sake. What happens if somebody has a question when they're on site? Vic, I know that question may come up. Who should we call?
Yeah, so all of these Artomes will come in with the quick guides. Hopefully that the 2-page PDF or letter size paper will guide them, especially for the substitutes. I know all the teachers will have access to this video. That quick guide will be the first step. And then the second step would be submitting a ticket or calling the support number. All the STSs are aware of these deployments. It should go through our regular support workflow.
So when we did our teaching station deployments for the Chromebox, we got several questions in regards to the amount of time if I'm projecting something and I'm teaching and I'm in the classroom and I'm not at the computer touching, that there is a 15-minute, if there's no touching or moving of the keyboard mouse, that it kind of times out and asks you to log back in. Vic, do you know if this will, I'm assuming, but I want to just ask the question on behalf of our teachers, will that be the exact same that it is currently with the normal teaching station Chromeboxes?
Correct. Yes, since we're logging in with our PPS accounts, and the same policy applies across all of your Chromebooks and any other device that you would be signing in on.
Yep. So one key tip is walking around the classroom, just move that mouse a little bit each time, and we'll be able to keep it on that same projected image while you're presenting your content. So just a best practice, it is that universal setting versus individual based.
That made me think of one last thing that it'll be important for us in our substitute plans, when we're absent, to make sure that we're sharing information with how to use this with substitutes.
Absolutely. And I think that's where just giving them the information ahead of time, making sure that that quick setup and use printed version is available to them. That way they can do a quick reference. Obviously, you all will have the information digitally, so you could also send the digital version to them so that they've got a heads up on that ahead of time. And then also going back to another question that may come up is document cameras. So we've heard a lot that people love their existing document cameras. Those were going to stay right now in the existing teaching station location. And then you could utilize the Artome capability where you go from your existing teaching station to the Artome via that Artome. So that's that streaming capability, and then be able to project with your document camera. So that's another question that may come up, is how to utilize that existing document camera within the curriculum that you're working on. So just to give you a little bit more information on that. And also another thing, if you've got DVD players, I know sometimes when there's substitutes, there's the capability to utilize a DVD within the curriculum and the classroom setting. So those DVD players are still going to be located in the libraries, the media centers, and can still work with your existing teaching station for those days.